This episode of Power Women of the Trades is also brought to you by Forrest Perry of Forrest Perry Digital Marketing. Want to generate more leads for your service business? Trust his team to deliver quality new customer leads and protect your brand online. Check out perrymarketing.com today.
Most businesses' online presence is boring, and by being boring, they're losing out on potential sales and customers. Being interesting and exciting is what draws customers in and gets them to buy from you. But it's hard to be interesting online when you're focused on running your business and taking care of your customers. It doesn't have to be this way. We have the key to unlocking the solution to your problem. Key Heart Marketing can help take your business from boring to brilliant on social media. We can vouch for them. They run our podcast socials. If you want to have a strong social media presence that allows customers to know, like, and trust you, connect with Key Heart Marketing at keyheartmarketing.com.
Hey everyone, this is Eric Thomas with Rival Digital, and I am proud to announce that we are the newest sponsor for the Power Women of the Trades podcast. We've been a big fan and supporter of the show for years, and we are just very excited and very honored for the opportunity to now be one of the podcast sponsors. So make sure you check out their page and subscribe to the podcast and listen in on wherever you get your podcast episodes from. Rival Digital is a full-service premier digital marketing agency for the home services industry. We offer everything from website design, search engine optimization, online advertising, public relations, and more. If you're interested in learning more about the services we offer for contractors just like yourself, head on over to rivaldigital.com, and we look forward to chatting with you.
Welcome to Power Women of the Trades podcast. This show is all about breaking barriers and changing the game. Our guests will feature some of today's most successful female entrepreneurs and other advocates of our industry as well. Because if there's one thing we know for sure, female-led entrepreneurship drives change on multiple levels. We want to empower women in the trade industry like you so you can maximize your potential, stay balanced, achieve long-term success, and claim ownership over your life. Let's get started.
Welcome back to Power Women of the Trades podcast with Cassie and Kaylee.
Hey.
We today are with Elena. Did I say that right?
You did.
I was practicing and then I freaked out and then I was cracking up. Elena Chrimat, correct?
You got it.
Woo! All right, girl. That's a good one. That's a good name. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, for sure. So Elena is from Ideal Air Conditioning and Insulation in Phoenix. Is that right? And so we're really excited to have you and to get to know how you got into the space. One thing that I was kind of pre-reading is you started this company. The question always is how'd you get here? And so I'm going to do that. I'm going to ask you that. So get ready to answer that. But what I noted was that you're going to tell us you started this company when you were 23 years old.
Yeah.
Is that right? That's crazy. That's crazy. Awesome. So tell us about that.
Yeah. So I was 23, had just graduated from ASU, and it was in 2009. And I applied to like over 100 jobs in my, field of interest, which was design management, which basically is like a quasi architecture degree. Mm-hmm. And the market had just kind of crashed at that time. So I wasn't really finding anything that I was interested in. My husband was working as a solar installer, installing solar panels. And so he was like looking at, energy usage in buildings, and he would see that, a house that was built exactly the same, one is using like double or 3 times the amount of energy that another one was using. And so he was like, hey, you're not really doing anything because, I didn't have work. He's like, hey, why don't you like research this and see if this might be something that, would interest you. And so it turned into me going down this whole rabbit hole of energy efficiency. And I ended up getting like a BPI certification, and we started doing energy audits on, well, just myself, energy audits on residential homes here in the Phoenix area. And sooner than later, we're like, oh, well, an energy audit really isn't going to fix a house. So, we need to start doing some of the problems that we're finding. We need to start repairing the home. So my husband and I would do these repairs on the weekends with another friend of ours from college. So this is kind of what we were doing is, doing like a lot of duct work and insulation and things like that. And after about a year and a half, we realized like, hey, 50% of these AC systems that we're running into, they're not installed right. And, there's a lot of work that needs to be done. So we set out to figure out how to do it right. And that's when we brought in HVAC, and that's how we got into this.
Well, I mean, I can appreciate that because it's so exhausting every day. Like that's a true problem, right? And it's like these contractors, builders, whatever, go in, they want to install at the cheapest. They install these systems. Like we go behind people in brand new houses that they've had their heat and air installed and the ductwork was never sized correctly. They didn't have enough return. There's so many issues. And then, or, now we're 10 years down the road, 15 years down the road of that house, and we're going to replace their system. And they don't want to hear that really you need to have the ductwork replaced also. And, it's like exhausting trying to explain that because contractors, like builders have devalued what we do so badly, right? And so we're like on this uphill battle of fighting to say like, oh, really, if your house isn't conditioned properly, your floors are going to buckle, Yeah. And so anyways, I love that you like took the time and the energy to like create a passion around that because not everybody does that. And our space is like so undervalued because for those types of things.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we definitely, take a more kind of a nerdy engineering approach to, HVAC and what we're doing. So yeah, properly sized ductwork.
That's what it should be. That's what it should have been done from all along, right? Like, it's like going back to people talking about, the trades being plan B. Like it really should have been always the nerdy approach because we're talking about some pretty important things. And just because you can't see the air doesn't mean that it's not important on how we condition it and how we get the air to you. So I think that's really cool that you guys did that and jumped in so young. And so how has it been since then? So that's my son was born in 2009. So I guess 17 years ago.
Yeah. 17 years. Yeah. So obviously, we've grown quite a bit since then. I would say, it's been interesting at this point. We have had our standalone building for several years now at this point. And so it's kind of cool to see the growth. And right now, I think we're 27 employees total. So, and we just do HVAC. So we're more of we do home performance and HVAC. So obviously the insulation, ductwork, and then HVAC as well. The next step would be for us to add in plumbing and electrical. So that's coming down the pipeline in the next year or two, but we'll cross that bridge when it gets there.
That's awesome.
So going back to like when you started with your husband and your friends back then, and then as you have grown through the last 17 years, how have you handled, being the woman in the male dominated field? How has that been? Has it been a challenge for you? Has that been super?
Yeah, I think that is a challenge for all of us women for sure. So especially, early on in the career when I was actually on the field. So it's weird when, you're training somebody and that somebody is a male, but that somebody also doesn't know anything. And you're training them, but when you walk up to the home and you talk with the homeowner, they just like look directly past you and just,
Uh-huh.
just go to shake the hand of, the male figure. Right. So, but I learned, early on that stuff, like, it's just societal norms and I don't really care. So, I think the best way to handle those scenarios is just to prove like yourself, and that just, within the 10 minutes, they can figure that out. Right. But, we just have these societal stigmas, and it's challenging to get past. But I think now, anyway, I'm not in the field so much, so I'm not really dealing with that. But we do have, females in the field, and that's something that I, really stand behind, obviously, because of, where I came from. So,
Yeah.
Because not only were you a woman, but you're also young whenever you started out too. So I feel like that's also something you had to overcome as well. Because I remember when I first started, and I wasn't in the field, but I had to like prove myself time and time again. So
yeah. Well, and I do think in general, though, even now, like you have to work twice as hard than the male counterpart. I do believe that, which is fine. I don't mind hard work.
That's the other thing too, is there's so many people that, I'm not like some crazy feminist. I'm just not, but I am really just like realistic and logical, and we do have to work twice as hard. There's some things that people that I feel like I deal with on a regular basis that I know for a fact that so in our business specifically, I'm more of the vocal person on like social media, and my husband is very much active in the business, but he doesn't give a shit about social media, right? So he's not on there. But because I'm the vocal one, it's almost like I have to, the drama that comes to us is because it's against me, and it's like, my goodness, like, get a grip. I was talking about one of our vendors is a reserve police officer, and I was kind of talking to him about this one day, and he said he was basically trying to give me credit for something, and he's like, I see what you have to like battle against. And he was like, it's just ridiculous. And he was telling me how he was training to be a reserve police officer, and his trainer was a woman, and she had been like a police officer for like ever. And she told him, like, they were going up on a call, and she said, watch what'll happen. And he's in training and knows nothing, and the people go straight to him, and she's like, hey, and so I was like, well, thanks for sharing that, because at least we know it's not just in our space. And I think I know that. But it is frustrating when you're like, why am I having to like triple prove myself right now? And I'm pretty sure I know what I'm doing.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's, it extends like past, even ownership or whatever, like, even the girls answering the phones, like everybody has to deal with that. Right. So, hey, can I talk to a technician? It's like, well, no, like, I'm trained to answer your questions, so why don't you try me? Right. So,
yeah, we had someone try to call for a customer complaint the other day. We did absolutely nothing wrong. I was listening to the call. I got to the point that I was like, I'm not even calling these people back, because it's not worth like it. Listening to the call was awful. But this person just wanted to speak to the owner, and she was talking to like the highest in command in our company, right? And this woman was talking to a woman, and she could not fathom that a woman was on the phone and representing herself as like a leader for the company. And I'm like, how frustrating is that? Like, another woman talking to us, like, of like, it's wild out there. And so, I think some days there's good days and bad days, and then there's just days of like, why is it 2026 and this is what's still happening?
Yeah. Yeah. But just, you can't let that stuff affect you at all.
Oh, yeah.
I find.
Yeah, for sure. Move on. Right.
Yeah.
So, okay. So tell us about like y'all's approach to, a lot of companies are just swapping boxes, right? So what is your approach when you get to the customer's house and like your nerdy piece of it?
Yeah, so we do so it just depends on, what the call is for, but let's say it's for a replacement, and our salespeople, so they're trained to do like a full right-soft manual J load calculation every single time. With that, we're always looking at static pressure, the duct work, the house as a whole, and how it performs, and how the homeowner will feel in the home when we're done. So with that, insulation is a big part of that, and air sealing the attic and things like that. So what we do is essentially just like model the house. We'll show them this whole thing, and then we have our bases covered. So we've given them the true option. From there, like if they're like, hey, like I don't really want to replace my ductwork, like you said, it's hard for people to wrap their head around it, but maybe we could come up with some kind of modification to make that system perform better, but it's not going to be 100% because they don't want to spend the money to replace all the ducts, for example. So, we offer like different tiers, I guess, if you will, depending on what the budget is and what the desired outcome is for the homeowner. But yeah.
That's cool.
That's awesome.
This has been Power Women of the Trades. Like what you hear so far? Leave us a review in Apple, and make sure to listen to our other episodes wherever you enjoy listening to your podcasts. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you on the next one.